Large cappuccino. Orders up. And welcome back. How are you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing well.
It's Friday, Memorial Weekend. Do you guys have any plans?
Big plans. I am going back home for vacation for a week, so I'll be
Nice.
back in the Northeast, the 401, spending some time with the fam and friends. So that will be exciting. Looking forward to that. Leaving tomorrow, though.
Nice. Get some real seafood when you're out there.
Yeah,
was gonna
legit
say it.
seafood. Yeah. Fresh.
Yeah.
Let's say that word. Fresh seafood.
There
It's
you
more
go.
fresh.
There you go. What about you?
Also going back home. Going to check out the new Bill Stadium that they're building out there in Orchard Park.
Sounds like something for you.
Sounds like something I would do, but no, it's gonna be nice to go back, see the family. I haven't seen them in a while, so it'd be nice to go in the pool a little bit, have a nice Memorial Day weekend, and just chill out for a little bit. So
Yeah.
And
How about you?
congratulations to Braden also on getting a
Getting
new
a
dog.
dog. Yes.
I did. Yes,
so excited.
it was a group
Super
decision. Group decision.
Maverick,
Fair.
the golden retriever.
Maverick.
Yes.
Yes, Maverick is the name.
So
Yep.
cute.
So how about you? What's
your
I
plans?
will be going to Cedar Point tomorrow. I know
Nice.
you guys aren't huge fans of roller coasters, but me, myself, love them. And then I'm going to Pittsburgh with my mom.
nice?
It's kind of a Mother's Day gift, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to spend a couple days out there. So
Lots of sports out there, right? Gonna do a lot of sporting.
yeah, that's
activity.
what we're going to
Yeah,
do.
it's
A lot of
like,
sport ball events out there.
exactly.
That's why we're going,
That's
for
it.
sure.
All right.
Well, cool. Awesome. So today we kind of have a cool episode for you guys. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the benefits of starting sports at an early age, kind of our own experiences being multi-sport athletes and kind of being involved in different sports throughout youth and adolescence. And as we kind of get through those topics, we're going to kind of touch on a little bit about specializing too early in a sport and the pros and cons about specializing. So, but yeah, I think what would you guys say is like benefits that you experienced from like starting sports at a young age, or when did you get started into sports too?
Yeah, I mean, I think just building like at least at first, building a solid foundation of like, different movements of the different sports that you play, different muscle groups you use. Different things that you have to do sport to sport are not always going to be the same thing from sport to sport. So one of the benefits just to start off is like, for somebody like me that played baseball and played football, growing up, it's, two different types of seasons, but it's different types of movements. And I think like overall, one of the benefits I had was like just not necessarily like becoming more flexible, like going from one sport to the next, but also preventing injury, which definitely I want to get into a little bit later here. But yeah, just using the different muscle groups, using the different like physical skills too that you need when you play multiple sports is always a really good benefit for
Yeah.
playing both. So
And I think definitely like at a young age, like being in different sports, you want to be able to like move your body
Yep.
in different ways and like be exposed and have that experience in those different sports, because you can be very athletic in all of those different sports, but you're using like different muscle groups and different skills for those. And so it's
Right.
nice to kind of have that well-rounded athlete who has that experience too at an early age.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah, and I think to the point, like I started my whole sports just because I had two older sisters, so I got thrown into the tennis camps with them, and it sounds really bad when I put it like that, but I got thrown into all the camps and lessons with them. So I started like around like 5 years old, and then started doing like every other sport like that you would do in that like whole seasonal type thing. So like soccer, and then baseball, and like basketball in the winter, and then doing like tennis. So that was always like in the background on top of like switching between all those sports. So it was almost like playing darts and trying to find which one I liked best, and like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a few misses and I'm gonna have a few hits too. But I think that's like a really good point that you guys said, like using these different muscle groups and learning all these different motor skills. I think that really helps, not just in you for like in the sport, but also outside of sports, right? Developing out those kind of different uses that you may need for whatever it is, chores, whatever else.
yeah.
Mhm.
I know. Yeah, I started. I think my first sport was actually dance, and I was like 4 or 5 years old, and I started with dance. But I also have 4 brothers, so everybody was involved in sports, and so I got started like with soccer. I did some basketball, but yeah, I think to like, especially at a young age, sports is such a great way to like open up that social connection piece and like get involved, like learn how to work with others, learn like that like being able to work with different people, that diversity aspect, but like just being exposed to like that social group at a young age. Like sports is such a great window for that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Like that whole team aspect, right? That team dynamic. There's so many skills and stuff you can take away from just learning from others that, you think you have a lot of great skills, and then you go play on different teams and also different sports. You realize, oh, like this athlete does a little different, and that really works for him or her. And just realizing and learning from other people is really good. But so yeah, no, that's a great point. That social aspect, but that team aspect as well. Yeah, no, that's really good. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Making friends, going to all the different birthday parties, going to, what was that called? Sleepovers.
What was that called?
Hangouts. What was that called back then? It's so long ago now.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's just like a lot of cool aspects, I think, of when you're like a kid growing up doing this. And I think the biggest one too that we're maybe glossing over too is like it's just fun. It's just fun to like be outside and just like being active and staying away. We have it right here now, but like staying away from the screens, the vaunted screens, and trying to decrease screen time and video games and all that stuff, and get kids more active and get kids outside, because the largest population of athletes is at the bottom level is youth athletes, and it slowly makes its way up till you eventually weed out people at each level, and going youth and then high school and then college and then obviously pro, and then even at the pro level, right, to make it to those Hall of Fames. I went to the Hall of Fame almost a month ago now, but they said that like it's just cool to see that progression of people. They had the whole like visual graphic of that with the Empire State Building, and it's like the only people in that Hall of Fame are like the top, like very like just
the 1%ers,
right? on the antenna.
Yep.
So.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, just like you said, like that whole aspect of like having fun with your friends. Like I think that's why so many kids like stick with sports for so long, is because like when they joined in and it was just kind of like a social thing to do with your friends. Like yes, it's kind of like keeping you active and like physically getting you out there, but it's just fun to like go out with your friends and do stuff. And that was such a huge part of my childhood. Even if I wasn't like going to like soccer practice or going to basketball practice, like just going out like with my brothers or like kids in the neighborhood and just like playing outside, playing street hockey, like that's just a huge part of my childhood. So definitely means a lot.
Including everybody, all of that stuff too. And then gosh, I forgot my other point, but it's just like having a good time. And then eventually too, like when you go further on, people start doing sports for different reasons, and a big part of that is the social aspect. And then the bigger part, I think, that we could maybe start talking into is maybe our own experiences of like, starting to maybe put the social part away a little bit, which was great and fun and still part of it, but starting to really focus in on like being an athlete and starting to like get good at these certain sports and picking maybe
so like kind of that transition into that transition like, a little fun bit versus like, okay, like I really want to get into this,
versus like now it's fun, this is the one I enjoy, like I narrowed it down, and then now it's like this is the one I want to get good at, or these couple sports are the ones I want to get good at, these are what I want to do. I feel like most kids, at least from my experience, like I figured that out around like high school, like these are the ones I want to do finally, like this is what I want to do in the fall, winter, and then spring.
I definitely had an interesting experience because like I said, I started off with dance when I was really young, and I danced for like 12 or 13 years like doing that, but it eventually got to a point where I was like in 7th or 8th grade, and my parents were like, hey, like your brothers are in sports, like you're in multi-sports and you have dance, like we can't do it all. So my parents actually kind of posed it to me where I had to kind of choose like which sports were most important to me. And so like 8th grade I ended up quitting dance because I felt like soccer was more of my thing. And then I didn't get introduced to running until I was in high school, and then that's when I kind of found like my path with that. But yeah, my parents kind of, I don't want to say forced it on me, but they kind of had to pose like that question of like, okay, which one's more important to you?
No, Mike. Yeah, Mike. I think you bring up a good point. Like around that high school time, I feel like is usually when a lot of athletes start to grasp like these are the sports I really want to get into. It's obviously really good when you're in youth and you're younger to almost try them all out, see which ones you really like. But I would say I definitely agree with you. Like around that high school time, you're able to single out like maybe I'm really good at this sport and really good at this one. I'm going to continue with these two or these three or even just one. Kind of going into like your high school time. So. Yeah, no, that's a big.
And
big
I know you mentioned it before, like the idea of like injury prevention.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, what did you want to say with that?
Yeah, so like, I mean, obviously I was a baseball and also football athlete, and you know, both sports have different skill sets that you need, right? Different motor skills and physical skills and everything. But I did, and still to this day, do feel like by me playing football and baseball in high school, I had obviously different parts of the year, really did limit a lot of the injuries. Like didn't really have as many. I feel like just going through conditioning from football, then to baseball, then eventually then back around for all those years. Definitely feel like one, kept me in shape for sure, but also two, like the different types of physical workouts I go through, kept muscles, kept ligaments and everything kind of in check throughout the year. It wasn't just, okay, do baseball like in the spring and then don't use any other muscle groups and kind of cut that off throughout the summer and then revisit it again. I feel like just kind of doing both those sports, going through different trainings, going through different workouts. Obviously, both sports had cardio in it, but it was like different types of cardio. So going through those kind of experience, I feel like definitely really did limit the injury prevention for sure. Definitely helped going from season to season. So
yeah, because I definitely like relate to that. Like with soccer, it's a very like touch and go kind of movement because you have to be like quick on your feet, like offense to defense, short bursts. And so I feel like that aspect to soccer really helped prevent me from injuries in track because track is just like very linear, like you're just moving in one direction. And so a lot of people tend to like have certain injuries with that. I mean, you did running, so you know, like there's a lot
of yeah. But I mean, I think that's what led to me getting eventually tendonitis with the sport, right? And even though I did tennis in the spring and kind of like took that break, like it's just the fact that I was still like 9 to 10 months out of the year was just spent like just running, putting that constant impact of the ground onto my body, and I think it eventually caught up. It took a couple of years, of course, but it eventually did catch up. And I know. Like to Braden's point, there's a lot of different ways you can go about doing things and just the way you train in different workouts, which is really good. Like low impact things to do, like running on grass versus or like swimming or aqua jogging are things. It sounds really weird, but it's like you get like this little belt and you clip it on, and they have like a thing on your back and it keeps you upright and you just kind of run in the water and that way you're still getting that cardio, but you're not putting that impact and wear and tear on that on your body, which is, you know, obviously the dark side to sports is injury, but there's also the kind of good parts or like growth areas when it comes to sport injury. Like you start to get motivated and stuff again with it, but definitely by specializing, I think, or from my own experience, I should say, is like I did get that like that wear and tear and the form of tendonitis that eventually caught up. And then in tennis, I mean, I broke my wrist, but that was just me having bad footwork and falling backwards and bracing with my wrist. So something I know that the sport of basketball teaches a lot, something that I wish I like did basketball a little bit longer because they teach you how to fall and land and like kind of slide or glide. With baseball, you probably experienced it. There's a proper way to slide and there's techniques
there's some technique
to it.
In there.
It looks really random and just like, oh, just go down and slide, but you're taught how to do that. Because it could be dangerous. I
also thought too, just like leaving each season, like obviously baseball and football season seemed like one, I don't know, each year one always feels longer than the other. I think that's more so playoff dependent of how far you go, but it was also nice, especially for baseball, to like give my arm a break, and for pitchers especially, or any position in baseball really, to just not throw for a couple months out of the year and then go do something else and let your arm heal from the whole season that you just played. Throwing year round, it puts a lot of strain on your arm, right? So I always felt too, it was like really good to take a break of just doing the simple like motor skills I'd have to do every single day for baseball. And
I think this is just like good advice for like at any stage where you feel like your sport is becoming like a 365 year round kind of thing, like making sure that you give your body that break. Because just the whole injury prevention, if you're doing the same thing day after day for a full year, like your body's gonna need to have a break. And for like all of those athletes who are like worried about taking a break and being like, oh, what if I lose all my training? What if I lose? Do a different sport or like do something else that's active to kind of keep your body moving. But yeah.
That's good.
Well, yeah, so I guess kind of getting into like that specializing too early, what are your guys' thoughts, like pros and cons with like specializing at an early age in a sport?
I think pros for specializing early, right? Like you hopefully have found that sport that you like really like, that you're motivated to do, right? So that's a really awesome feeling. You have fun with it. You're maybe making friends like we kind of talked about. And now you want to take it a little bit more seriously, which is great. And you kind of get that, year round, you get more into it, you get more knowledgeable with the sport, you feel like you're growing faster with it as well. So I think those are all really big pros. It can help you later on down the line, right? Because if you specialize, you've played year round, you just have that many more, like, talk about a term like reps. You have that much more time on court or time on the field or time on the track or time in the pool, whatever it is. And when you go up against those kids, right, because research out there says to master something, it takes around like 10,000 hours. If you have those hours before the other kids that you're competing against, right, like you're going to be in a much better position to succeed at an earlier age and then eventually get those accomplishments you're looking for later down the line. Or just like, you want to go farther, you want to do this in college, and freshman year you're already like the number one on the team, or you're already hitting certain times, or you're already pitching at certain speeds, right? Like that just is a very important thing sometimes for that like future thinking ahead aspect. But there's also always cons, right? Like you could damage your body, like we were just talking about. There's a lot of different types of injuries you can get. You might not know if you like other sports, right? You don't just have to like one. There's a bunch of other ones out there using different muscle groups. You could be good at multiple sports, and then you get offers to maybe compete at multiple schools for different sports, and then you can kind of pick and choose from there. So there are some cons like that. But yeah.
And I think it's also like sport dependent too, because I think there's certain sports like I would say like gymnastics where like specializing early is like more focused on like for those athletes to make it to the Olympics. Like you have to put in that much work. If
you have to be good at a younger age.
Yeah. Like you have to get that early start in it. But yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to it. And I kind of like what you were saying too. If you have just done like one sport your whole life, like there could be other things that like other sports that you could have loved, but you never like gave it a shot. That you could have been more successful in, but you never gave it that shot. And I just know like with running too, like I see it a lot when, especially for women, when they start to specialize early, as in like 10 or 12 years old, like they're out there like killing it in whatever races that they're doing. It's different for women because as we like go through puberty, it doesn't always lead to us getting like faster times or like like getting better, just because our bodies change differently than men. So like specializing before puberty, depending on your sport too, like for women, it just might not pan out the way it would for a guy, I guess.
Sure. I think another like just thought about now, but something that could be difficult too, I always noticed within like specializing in a sport is like, especially when you get to the higher levels, I've seen baseball players play college baseball, so like football, try to at the same time, and then they get drafted in Major League Baseball, but also there's interest in the NFL draft too, and you almost got to like pick one, like which one do you want to go to? There are some quarterbacks in the NFL now that have been drafted in Major League Baseball, and some look at say, hey, should I have gone to the baseball route, and vice versa. Some players in the NFL, should I have went to, well, I guess the flip side, baseball side, but guys in baseball looking, maybe should I have tried the NFL out? Should I have tried that route? So it's tough. It is. It's a difficult decision sometimes when when you're really good at maybe a couple sports down the stretch, and even if you do get drafted by both leagues, if you're lucky enough to do it, to try to pick one, but you have the option. So that is definitely is one I guess tough decision, but at definitely at a higher level for sure.
Isn't it? There was a football player who was a baseball pitcher. I'm blanking on his name. Is it?
Trying to think.
Well, there's
Kyler
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray.
There's Russell Wilson.
Yep, he was drafted.
Pitcher, but he was drafted at least.
There's a bunch.
Winston, I
Jameis
think?
Winston. Yeah, there's a bunch of Kaepernick. Maybe I'm not. Yeah, I don't.
He had. I'm pretty
Something
sure
like that.
that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yep.
But he had like a Netflix special.
Okay.
And he had that same path of like he was a really good pitcher.
Yep.
And a really good quarterback.
Yep.
And he had to kind of like decide.
Yeah, and like you look at a guy right now in the New York Yankees, like Aaron Judge, like just killing it right now for the Yankees. And like if you ever look at his like high school football like stats, it's insane. You would have thought the guy was going definitely high draft pick if he was going to go to college for football. But it's crazy. Some of these guys, the numbers they put up in both sports, and they do ultimately have to decide which one. Unless you're, I guess, Deion Sanders, you just kind of.
Bo Jackson.
Bo Jackson. You just got to do both at one time.
Fly,
which that
fly
is
the plane, go to both games in one
that
day.
is such a that's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, it is a tough decision. It is tough. It is tough when you get to those higher levels, and maybe one day you ultimately do have to decide, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So.
And if you have noticed, for those that do watch our stream, we brought in show and tell. So I know Francis had some numbers on which athletes, what percentage of athletes in professional sports.
So I think it was Division I athletes.
Division I athletes.
Yeah, there's
pro.
Like 88% of Division I athletes who were multi-sport athletes and got to that Division I collegiate level, and there's 70% of the NFL players that were multi-sport athletes and got to that professional level. So like that just kind of shows you right there that being involved in multi-sports and like getting your body exposed to movements in different ways doesn't mean that you like won't be able to like reach a certain level. In some cases it actually means that your body just becomes more athletic, that maybe it benefits you more to kind of get to that level. So yeah, a
lot of football wide receivers have ran track in college. Like they've ran track throughout their life and just kind of helped them build speed and endurance and stamina, all that good stuff that kind of goes with route running. So a lot of behind the scenes stuff than just
and a lot of track runners started off in soccer too. Especially I've noticed it more like with middle distance athletes. So track runners who run the 4 and the 8. So many of them started off in soccer and played soccer like through high school or into high school because that endurance aspect is crazy.
Yep.
Gordon Hayward played tennis and now picked the NBA, but probably could have had a pretty good tennis career. He's really good. He said it's helped his footwork in his NBA career. New Cleveland Browns backup quarterback Jameis Winston played football, obviously, won national championship, won a Heisman, I want to say, too, I think. I'm not sure.
He might have.
I know he at least won the national championship.
Yep.
Also pitched and played baseball in the spring at FSU, right?
Yep.
And then now went into the NFL. So I think, back to the, I feel like we've really gone off the topic, but maybe, but the delaying the specialization, to Francis' point, that's what's recommended. My little research that I brought today, right? It says that studies have shown that athletes who specialize early before age 14 are likely to drop out. Multi-sport athletes have many advantages over single sport athletes, including longer term success, fewer injuries, fewer incidences of dropout, and the development of transferable skills, which we've kind of discussed.
Yeah, and I think kind of as a reminder to one of our past episodes too, like burnout becomes a factor too if you start specializing too early. But I guess to kind of like wrap up, I kind of wanted to ask you guys if a parent were to come up to you and kind of have this concern with their athlete of like, should their kids specialize at a young age or not, what would you say to a parent who's kind of debating that?
Yeah, I would say, there's a lot to take in, and I think one of the things we haven't talked about, but luckily I've pulled up right here.
Look at that.
The hidden research and science and facts. It's crazy out
There
here.
it is.
Yeah.
The cost is probably like the biggest thing with sports, and this is from ESPN from 5 years ago. But the Aspen Institute found the average amount of spending on sport was approximately $692. That's per child per sport per year. That was 5 years ago, so I can't even imagine what the number might be
today.
now. But that's from 5 years ago, so around $700 per child per year per sport that they're doing. Most expensive sport.
Hockey.
Ice hockey.
Yep.
Winter sports mostly. Skiing and snowboarding's next. Tennis I know is up there. I also see cycling, that is up there.
What do they got in baseball down there?
Baseball is only $659.
Those baseball bats get expensive.
What about running?
Running cross country, $420. I think that's the cheapest one. It's really
those
just
shoes.
kind of
All you need is the shoes.
All
you
you
need a couple
is the
pairs of
shoes.
shoes. You got to burn through those. So obviously everything has different costs, and these are some slightly maybe outdated numbers from a few years ago, but just to give that'd be my thing. I'd be like, you got to look at these costs. You have to look at the time that you're going to spend dedicated to this to your kid, and if you want to really make that thing. And obviously most parents probably should, but there's a lot of things to think about with this, and making sure that you and your athlete as a parent kind of talk through that, and have that good two-way street of communication. I think that would be the advice that I'd have. Look at the costs and make sure you're both on the same page with this.
Yeah.
I need the question one more time.
Like if a parent were to come up to you asking, should I specialize my kid early?
Yeah.
What would you say?
I mean, kind of going off of Michael a little bit, it definitely is it's a tough question. It's because it's different for every athlete, every situation. Everyone's situation is a little different, right? But I would definitely, at least if the kid was playing, especially at the youth levels, one sport, definitely encourage something else. It doesn't have to be some like, if he's doing baseball, have to do football. Even if it's track, just something like. Any sport is like, just add something a little bit differently, add a different wrinkle, I guess, to their weekly schedule, to their athletic career. I think that's always good. You don't have to pile on 3-4 sports on his schedule, but just like his or her schedule, but just do something a little different. I think it's always a good idea to try some different sports, different movements.
I think I'd kind of do like a mix of kind of what both of you said. I'd definitely like the aspect of make sure you and your athlete are on the same page, just because like you guys said, there's so many different aspects that go into it, and you got to consider so many different things, but making sure that your athlete really wants to do whatever sport it is that you're thinking of. And just being on the same page, like with that passion and with what they want to do. But I would for sure encourage parents, especially at a young age, before I'd say like 13 or 14, I'd be like, get them out there doing something else.
Something different.
Go have fun.
Yes.
Yes. That's half the battle sometimes, just to have fun, to have fun playing. Yeah.
Right. So, well, good. Well, yeah. I guess we can kind of wrap
and
up.
We're wrapping
do we all close at the same time?
But yeah, we'll kind of wrap up for today, and I guess we'll see you guys next time.
If you like what you're listening to, be sure to follow the Athlete Cafe on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. You can find us wherever you enjoy listening to your podcasts.